Okay, so to start the project, you will need 4 balls of yarn, that is in 100 grams each. I'm using Anchor Knitting Cotton, and the shades that I'm using is this one 00369 and this one 00300. So I will be using 2 balls of each color, and then you will require to use 2 crochet hooks. One is a 12 pony 2.5 millimeter, and the other one is a 4 millimeter 8G pony crochet hook. And of course you will need your bag base. So if you don't have this, you should definitely order it from Pradhan embroidery stores, because these are just absolutely fabulous to use. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a darker shade because the base of my bag is in a darker shade. So if you see the bag base, it has 2 sides. Now the dome side is the back side, and this is the inner side or the front part of your bag. So we will be working around in this way. Okay, always remember to use the dome side as the working side. Okay, and why I'm using 2 sizes of hook is that I just need the smaller hook to insert it inside the hole of my bag base. If you don't have a 2.5 millimeter, completely fine. You can always go for a bigger one. Just see that it goes through the holes of the bag base. Now the most important part of the bag is to go around the base, and I think that it's the most difficult part. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to make a slip knot, and then what I'm going to do is, this is going to take your time, so make sure that you have plenty for this and be very patient while doing it. I'm going to insert my crochet hook. Of course this hook is smaller to my yarn, but still I'm going to work with it. I'm going to start from here. You can start anywhere. I just like to start on the curve of the bag base. So I'm going to insert my hook into one of the holes. Remember, my slip knot is here. I'm going to take my yarn, pull it inside, and I'm going to do a single crochet. Okay, imagine that this is the chain or the foundation chain that we are working, and this is going to be my first single crochet. So again, I'm going to insert my hook into the same hole. I'm going to grab my yarn. This is going to be a hard work, so be patient with it, and again make a single crochet. Sometimes what happens is, with the Anchor Knitting Cotton, the thread gets tangled between your hook, so you have to just open it up and then insert it back again. Again, I'm going to insert it into the same hole, and I'm going to pull out my yarn and again make a single crochet. So what we did was, we did 3 single crochet into the first hole. So again I'm going to go into the second hole, pull out my yarn, and I'm going to do a single crochet. Again I'm going to insert into the same hole, pull up my yarn, and do a single crochet. Same thing to be repeated the third time. Fair bit difficult, but be patient and make another single crochet. See? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to work around the whole base of the bag, making 3 single crochets into each of my holes of the bag. So you finish that off, and I'll meet you at the very end and show you what to do. Now that I have done completely the whole part of my base, I'm going to do a slip knot into the very first chain of my first stitch, and then I'm going to just finish my round right here. Now that the back side of my bag is completely done, or the base part is completely done, I'm going to just put it upside down. This is going to be the inside of my bag, and this is the downside or the back side, you can say. And we are going to work around the whole length, and we're going to lift our bag, or we're going to raise the bag size in this way, in upward direction. So now that I have my hook inserted with the same size of crochet hook, I'm not going to change the size right now. I'm going to do a layer of, or a round of, single crochets. So I'm going to do a chain 1, and into each of the next stitches I'm going to do a single crochet, but this time I'm going to do the single crochet in only the back loops in this way. So I'm going to start here. Only in the back loops. In this way. So what you're going to do is, you're going to work around the whole round of your bag with only single crochets in the back loops of your bag. Okay, in this way. So complete the whole round, and I'll meet you here. Alright, now that I'm at the very end of my single crochet, I'm going to go into the very first chain, and I'm going to do a slip knot and close my work in a round. Now if you look at the work right now, you will see that we have a bend here. See, this is how our work is looking very finished, and it has a very delicate side to it. Even though the base of the bag has lifted up just a little bit, it will eventually bend down because this is faux leather, so it tends to lift up a little bit, but that's okay. Eventually when we continue the bag, it's going to base down. We're going to put something heavy inside the bag so that it bases down. So now we're going to start with row 3. Now I want to take some time and talk about the length of the bag here. You see, I have 2 bases of leather faux. So both of these are from Pradhan embroidery stores. If you see the brown one, it is 3.5 quarters, and if you see the wider one, it is exactly 4.5. So this one is 3.5 inches, and this is 4.5 inches in width. If you see, the number of holes might differ in some of the bases. This one has 40 holes. So in order to make it an even number, I did 3 single crochets into each. So I got 120 stitches. After a round of single crochet, you must have 120 number of stitches. For the bag design that I'm going to show you, you need to have exactly even number of stitches. If you don't have even number, this bag won't work out for you. So whatever bag base you're using, whether it be 3.5 inch, whether it be 4.5 inch, you need to make sure that the number of stitches around the bag must be an even number. So now we're going to start with the third row. Okay, so now for the third round, I'm going to take my same hook. I'm going to chain 2, pull around my hook, and do a double crochet into the next stitch. Again, yarn over, go into the next stitch, both the loops, and do a double crochet. Yarn over into the next stitch, both the loops, and then a double crochet. We're going to continue doing double crochets for 120 stitches. Once you're done with 120 number of stitches, I'm going to make a slip knot right on top of my first double crochet and do a slip knot. Now this is how the bag base is looking right now. It has just started to start with the bag design. So I'm going to change my hook size right here from a 2.5mm to a 4mm.
Now for the next round, we're going to work a row of single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1 and do a single crochet into the very same stitch. Into each of the next stitches, I'm going to work a single crochet into both the loops of my double crochet, and mind you, here I'm using a 4mm. Continue doing this all the way around, and I'll meet you at the very end. A small note that I would like to add here is that sometimes when we skip or we change the number of the hook, I changed mine from a 2.5mm to a 4mm. You might see a little bit of a change in the tension of the stitches, but that's completely normal because in my next step or in the next round I'm going to do something which will eventually change the whole design, or it will become a bit wider in the whole length of the piece. That's completely okay, so you need not worry about that. When you're at the very end, you should have a total of 120 number of single crochet, and into the very first stitch I'm going to do a slip knot and close my round. Now we are going to start with the actual design part right now in this row. So you're going to chain 1 just like that, and if you look at the stitches, we have a single crochet each on top of our double crochets. So we're going to do a front post double crochet. If you're a beginner and you don't know how to do front post double crochet, I advise you to go first learn how to do the front post double crochet and then come back and do the stitch. So having done my chain 1, I'm going to yarn over. I'm coming out of this double crochet. I'm going to go into the next double crochet in this way, pull up a loop. Try to pull up your loop just a little bit more so that it is adjacent to your stitch, and do a double crochet. So this is how you do a front post double crochet. Again, yarn over. Instead of now doing a front post, we're going to do a double crochet on top of the next single crochet. Just a normal double crochet in this way. I'm going to skip the next double crochet because on top of the double crochet we did a double crochet on the single crochet that was on top of it. So again, yarn over. Into the very next one, you're going to do a front post. Just like that. Yarn over. Into the next stitch. On top of the single crochet, make a double. Yarn over. Skip a stitch, and into the next double crochet make a front post double crochet, just like this. So basically what we are doing is a front post, a normal double on top of the single, a front post, a normal double on top of the single, a front post, and this is what we are going to continue the whole length of the bag. When I come back here, I'm going to show you how to end the row. I have made a few of my stitches, and you can see that I have a front, a normal DC, a front, a normal DC, and I'm continuing in this way. This stitch might look confusing, but if you have your eyes on the stitches, it's not that difficult. So continue doing it until the end of the row. Alrighty, now I have a front post double crochet, so I'm going to go yarn over. Into the very last stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet on the single crochet, and then I'm going to close my work in a round by doing a slip stitch on top of my front post double. So as you can see now, the 5th row is done. Now we're going to continue working around the bag, and henceforward it's going to move upwards in this way. So this is how the stitch looks. You must have even number of stitches and front double crochet, front double crochet, front double crochet all around the bag. Now for the next row, which is the 6th one, I'm going to do a chain 1, and into each of my stitches I'm going to do a single crochet into each of the stitches. And mind you guys, you must have 120 stitches also at the end of this round. So continue doing this all the way across, and I'll meet you here. At the very end of the round, I'm going to do the last single crochet, and then I'm going to take and slip stitch into the very first single crochet, and that's how you complete the round. Now for the next round, we're going to chain 1. We are on top of a front post, so on top of that I'm going to do a normal double crochet into the very same stitch, and we are going to work opposites. For example, if you're working on a front post, you're going to do a double crochet on top of the front post, and on the double crochet of the previous round I'm going to do a front post. Just like that. Again, into the top of my front post, the single crochet on top of my front post, I'm going to do a normal double crochet, and into the double crochet of the previous round I'm going to do a front post. So exactly what we are doing is, we are front post double crocheting on the stitches on which we did only double crochet in the previous round. Again, just to illustrate, this is the front post, so on top so the single crochet on top of the front post, we are going to do a normal double, and onto the double crochet of the previous round we're going to do a front post, just like that. So we are alternating the stitches. On the front post you're going to do a double, on the double you're going to do a front post. So this is how you're going to continue working all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. If you pay attention to this round, you see that you're working the same thing: a front post, a double, a front post, a double. The only difference is that you're working the front posts on the double crochets and the double crochets on top of the front posts. Each layer is going to have a single crochet row. That is how the width of the design continues or grows, if you can say that. So continue doing this. Now when I'm at the very end, I have completed my front post and I have my normal double crochet, and into the very first front post stitch I'm going to do a slip knot and close my work in a round. Now guys, if you can see, my work has become a little bit wobblier. If you use the same size of crochet hook, you might face the same problem, but not to worry, because this is just the beginning of the bag. Eventually, when you just keep on working with it, it's going to turn into a beautiful piece. With this, we have completed our 7th row. From row 8 till 12, we're going to work only single crochets. Okay, so chain 1 and do a single crochet into each of the next stitches, just like this. Continue doing single crochet into each of the next stitches, and make sure that at the end of round 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 you must have 120 number of stitches. Continue doing that, and I'll show you how to change colors in row 13. Now that I have completed my 12 rows, this is how the stitch looks. You should have around 2 and approximately a quarter of inch of this one, and this should be around 1 or 1.2 inches around in width. It depends upon the yarn that you're using, because I am using a 4-ply cotton. If you're using a thicker yarn, it might change, but you can see the very shape of the bag that is taking form, and we have approximately like 3 inches of the bag width already completed. This is where I'm going to stop with this color and change my color. So I'm going to just take off my thread and tie a knot. I like to change my colors by cutting off the yarn from the actual design, but if you like to switch colors in other ways, then you can definitely go for it. This is where we are going to stop with our part 1 of our bag.